Hello YouTube, I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forest Woodcraft. Okay, in my first video on A Tale of Two Axes, I told you about how I was looking for another handle for my NORLUND axe head and discovered the handle that became part of my Gransford Brooks. I mentioned that I had reordered a new handle. Well, this is that handle. I'll give you a little close-up. This one says that it is a Ames True Temper 28-inch handle for the 2 1/4 pound boys axe handle. Ordered it off of eBay, and as you can see, it fits. Now all I did when I got it was make sure that the eye was the correct size, and then with just a little bit of scraping with a knife to remove mostly the varnish and stuff like that, I was able to tap it into place. Now it's a little thicker in this swell than I like. It's a little thicker in the overall length, and this fawn's foot's a little bit big. Now when you put the original axe handle up here next to it, you got to remember that this handle broke and I had to recut it, so these were originally probably about the same size, and I took that swell right here and recut this to make the head fit again. But as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference. Well, it's the same profile, but the thickness is the difference. There's a lot of difference in that end. And so what I'm going to do is be reshaping this so it fits more like this handle. Now yes, this was a little gray style and it does not have a great big swell out here. But what is the purpose of this axe? Excuse me, this axe was used predominantly on camping trips where I needed to cut firewood for a winter fire. It was used in canoe camping, things like that, where I'm not going to be toting this axe very far, although I do have a carrier for it, which I showed in an earlier video. What I want is an axe that travels well, is light and handy, and is big enough to do the job, but no larger. Okay? I have great big full-size axes, and if we're going out there to fell trees, I'll have my double bit. If we're going to be in tight, thick, doing limbing, I'll have that Gransford Brooks. If we're going to be splitting firewood in a camp, that Gransford Brooks gets the bill. This becomes the cruising axe. This is the one where I'm planning on needing something, but not major construction. That's where this axe comes in. Now, as always, these axes come dipped in a lacquer, and so I've got to remove it. Now, there are several ways of doing it. Some people like to sand and strip it. Some people like to use various means. A good sharp knife does a good job. But one of the things that I will be doing is I will be taking broken window glass. Actually, it's the glass out of an aquarium, and simply scraping like that and removing that finish. Now up here in this section, I'm going to sand it down some. I like the flare, but not nearly this extreme. Okay, I'm not going to reduce it down where it's weak, but I'm going to get rid of the excess. And then of course, once I get it fully seated, fully shaped, I'll put the head back on for one last time, and then I will cut this off and put my wedge in, making sure, and this is where a lot of people make a mistake, how deep this cut right here extends down in here. Because quite often I found they're a little short. So when I cut that off, I've only got like half the head of a split. And if you try to force a wedge, you'll split your handle. So what you want to do is you get it to where this is the final configuration, and then I'm going to put a mark right there. I'm going to remove the head and I'm going to saw down to that mark with my hand saw. Then I will put the head back on securely, cut this excess off, put my wedge in, and drive my wedge. That way everything's tight, fitted, and wedged before I ever put the metal wedge in, if I even. A lot of times I'll leave out the metal wedge. I find that if I will clean it up good, put a little bit of glue or adhesive or epoxy in there, seat it down solid, and then drive that wedge in good, it won't come loose. Now, while we have it apart, I'm going to address some issues with the head. Now is the time to do it. Like I said, after decades of service, she's showing a little wear. These edges are a little bit battered up here. I need to file them square. And if you notice on the back, these ridges, especially up underneath here, you see that? It was like the axe head was never finished. And I know it was, but when it was bought, it was that way. It was like it was roughly finished and it was never polished out. And so I'm going to do a little polishing on a grinder. I know, do not take out the temper. And that is an easy way to destroy a piece of steel, is to put it onto a grinder and get it too hot, get it too thin. The secret to it is I grind for just a second or two, and I take it away, and I take my hand and put it where I was grinding. If it's hot, it goes in water. I'm constantly dunking it in water. Dunk it, shake it, grind for a count of 10, take it, dunk it, shake it, wipe it, grind to a count of 10, and do it like that. Very carefully, very slowly, so you do not heat the metal up and draw the temper. Okay. Now that I've showed you this, now let me show you the finished product.